What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the German Bear Podcast. And today we want to take a look at the remaining edge free agent market and potential late camp additions that the Chicago Bears should look into. Even though I really like the top of our edge rotation for the Chicago Bears going into 2024, I think there's still a little bit more that the Bears could add in free agency to just secure the depth and get a little bit of a better rotation going moving forward at, as I said, the edge rusher position. So today we want to take a look at two guys that I think could really add some value to the Bears edge rotation and be some big impact guys moving forward for the entire 2024 season. More like depth pieces, but still very interesting players that we want to look at today. But before we want to do that, let's look at the actual situation that the Bears are working with. For the first string so far, we have Montez Sweat, obviously our number one edge rusher, the guy that is going to get the most attention of any player on the defensive line for the Bears in this upcoming season. Then we also have opposite of him, DeMarcus Walker, who I think is a very good versatile piece that the Chicago Bears have that they can move inside and obviously play out on as a wide 9 or 5 technique, obviously as well. So he's a pretty good guy that I really like. Then we have Jacob Martin, who was a early addition in free agency, who played for Indy last year and was pretty much more popular with Houston and the Jets before that. Very explosive and quick edge rusher. Really excited, honestly, what he's going to add. Really good veteran addition to the room. And then the fourth guy is obviously rookie Austin Booker. If you want to, feel free to check out my film room breakdown of the Hall of Fame game, what he was able to showcase there. I think he has a lot of potential, but yeah, that's for me personally it for the Chicago Bears rotation. Yes, you have Dominique Robinson, but I honestly do not have too much faith into him and what he's going to offer. And then a couple of free agent or UDFA additions, and then Khalid Kareem, who's also not the guy I think you want to have mainly in your rotation. So we have 4 good guys, but I feel like we're still missing one guy that can rotate in and be a productive pass rusher. And looking into that, let's actually move on and look at 2 potential guys that could fulfill this role for Matt Eberflus and Eric Washington's defense. And the first guy that we want to look at today and focus on is going to be Carl Lawson. Carl Lawson has been an edge rusher since 2017 in this league. He was drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals in the 4th round back in the 2017 NFL draft, and then had another stint later on in 2022 and 23 with the New York Jets, and has been a pretty good rotational pass rusher for both teams. His most productive season was in his first year with the Bengals with 8.5 sacks, and then also in 2022. His last fully healthy season with the Jets, where he also had 7 sacks for them in that really good rotation that they have there with Robert Saleh. But overall, Carl Lawson, what can I say about him? He will be a really great addition for pretty much cheap, depending on obviously how much he's asking for. But he's coming off of an injury, so the asking price shouldn't be too high. He's still only 29 years old, so he's still got some juice left, even though it's going to be a wait and see on how he bounces back from that injury. But I think overall, Carl Lawson can still be a very explosive rotational edge rusher for the Chicago Bears. Now, what he really brings is speed, and that's the thing with the injury. How much speed has he really lost or not? He's suffered a lot of injuries on the back, or he struggled a lot with back injuries in 2023, and before that, I think he had a torn Achilles. So obviously, those are kind of things that will affect your explosiveness and your pain resistance as well, obviously, but I hope all of that is gone, because Carl Lawson in general is a really talented edge rusher, as you'll see with the clips right now rolling during the video. And I really would love this addition, because I think he's also pretty solid run stuffer. He's not really great at it. I think his role should be mainly limited to pass rush snaps, but to get a guy a snap off Montez Sweat or DeMarcus Walker, Austin Booker, Jacob Martin, that would be a great addition to the rotation. And he's proven over and over again that he can be a productive player in this league. I mean, he had a couple of 5-sack seasons as well, where he was a rotational guy and didn't really play the full season. Like, for example, 2019, in 12 games, 2-star, he had 5 sacks. So he can be that guy for the Chicago Bears. And as I said, with coming off of an injury, obviously it's kind of a risk, but at the same time, it should lower his price. So it shouldn't be too much of a risk from a financial standpoint for the Chicago Bears. And I mean, on a 1-year deal, he would be, in my opinion, a really good addition to look into. to. And with that being said, let's move on to a similar guy that we all kind of already know, but offers a little bit less, in my opinion, than Carl Lawson. And I think most of y'all already guessed it, Yannick Ngakoue is obviously on here as well. He's still a free agent, and the big plus with him is obviously that he already knows Matt Eberflus's defense. With Eric Washington, they might be a little bit of a new wind. I don't know how much, though. I think it's mainly going to be the same philosophy. So Yannick Ngakoue already knows what he needs to do. He was with Eberflus on the Colts and now on the Bears last year, obviously, as well. So he knows the guys. He knows the system. Now, the thing is with Yannick Ngakoue, I think he really had a down year last year, especially early on before Montez Sweat got onto the team and joined the team. He was in the number one edge rusher role, and he was never the guy to be a true number one edge. First of all, because he cannot stop the run, or he's not a really good run defender. That's just not his game, and that's okay. But he was always a good pass rush specialist, but most of those times when he was on a different team, he had help from the defensive line. Before Montez Sweat got to the Bears, he really didn't have that guy, that number one edge. So I think with a full season of Montez Sweat on the opposite side, I think Yannick Ngakoue can be a very good and effective player for the Chicago Bears. But to be honest, guys, I was kind of underwhelmed with the production that he had last year. He had overall 4 sacks and also only 22 tackles, 6 TFLs, so a solid season. But honestly, I was kind of underwhelmed by his especially pass rush productivity, because all those sacks that he got were not really great pass rush wins. It was more like coverage sacks. So yeah, but overall, what does Yannick Ngakoue offer? As I said, Montez Sweat is here now from the beginning of the season, so we would have a true number one edge rusher opposite of him. So that's a big plus, and you can really, with a good rotation that the Bears have, add a guy with Yannick Ngakoue who's a main pass rush specialist. So we don't have to worry about early down runs. He's not going to be on the field, but if it's 3rd and long and players are gassed, this guy's going to come onto the field. And even if it means subbing off Montez Sweat because he had like a big drive going on right now, we're not going to lose too much quality, because Ngakoue is going to feast, especially if he's very fresh off and can just go in with full strength. He's going to ball out because he's still a fast player. He's still only 29 and can be a productive edge rusher. As I said, a down year a little bit last year, but I think now with the new situation, he will be a really good fit too. Just like with Carl Lawson, it depends a little bit on the price, on the asking price, what he wants from the Chicago Bears. But I think the leverage is not that big for him, where he doesn't have that much breathing room in those negotiations, because he wasn't that great last year. And I don't know how many other teams he's been in talks with and how much he wants, but it would be great to get Yannick Ngakoue back on a cheap deal. As I said, I would probably prefer Carl Lawson a little bit. Yes, there's injury risk, but I think he should be good. He had a lot of time now to recover from it, and he's always been a very productive player. And as I said, is a little bit better against the run, which I would prefer. But I wouldn't mind Yannick Ngakoue either. Like, it would be a great other option on the market that already knows the system. So that's obviously the big plus. But yeah, those two guys I would definitely look into as for the Chicago Bears right now. I like the rotation, as I said, but there's just one piece missing, I kind of feel like, because Austin Booker is going to be great, but let's just ease him into the NFL, right? There's no need of rushing him into the NFL. He's still a young player that doesn't have too much experience. So maybe get a good pass rusher in like Carl Lawson or Yannick Ngakoue that he can also learn from. And even though that means he's getting a little bit less snaps, I think it's going to be good for his development, and he's also going to be fresh when he's coming into the play, because he's got a couple of guys now to rotate with. So I think that's something the Bears should definitely look into. But with that being said, that's the end of the episode, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. Definitely be ready for some Week 2 preseason breakdowns. Really excited for that. Also, let me know in the comments down below what you think of those two options, Carl Lawson or Yannick Ngakoue. Do you have anybody else that you would want to see on the Bears from the free agent market? I think it's not too many great guys available, but those two guys definitely struck out to me. Like and subscribe if you liked the video. Check out Instagram and Twitter if you want to as well. And as always, guys, bear down.